link. What a bummer.
So do I need
We're
to get
getting
off of this one then? The new link, guys, is if you go to our page, you should be able to get on it, but she's got it set up on my phone now.
Hold
for
on
me,
though, because
so,
it's saying.
which might be better, because then I can kind of walk you around the greenhouse too. So,
I want to make sure. Okay, that is going.
okay.
So,
So how do I get off of this
hold
one?
on, because just close that.
How?
Well, don't close it yet, because I need to send the link. Hold on. And then we'll close out of that. Making this happen. One new link at a time. Okay, there's
And this is what kind of making a fool out of myself looks like this morning.
No, this is called technical difficulties. There you go.
Alright, so there's the new link. I'll give you guys a second before I close this one to go to that one. So there's Momming with Charity says good morning.
On the phone?
On the new one.
Oh,
yeah.
good, okay.
Alright, so I'm going to close this one then, guys. Where do I go to close this?
Just close
There.
off of the internet over there. Yeah, just leave the page.
So is that done?
Yeah.
It's still got me up there, but alright, so now that we're here this morning, I'll have to probably use Jessica's phone so I can see comments and stuff, because obviously I'm not going to see them.
I was changing our Facebook event location. Here you go. Let me make sure you're... Okay. That one is gone. It still shows live. We're going to have 100 different lives up and going here.
That's alright.
Okay. Yes, that's the new link. Now let me close
Okay.
up all of this. Because you didn't end stream.
So yes, this is the new link. If you're on this one, that's great. Glad you guys suffered through all this with me this morning. So it's been a difficult one. So hopefully that's not buffering on you guys or anything now, and you can hear me clearly and see what's going on in here. I can kind of grab this camera here now, and I can walk you all around the greenhouse a little bit better. So like I was saying earlier, over here we've got all of our cucumbers over here this morning. These are our tomatillo tomato plants in the corner. Plants, another peach tree that we got to plant, and some blueberry plants, pear tree, and some lilac bushes. And back here, she's got all of her herbs in the corner. Back here, I think she's got cilantro, parsley, lavender, rosemary, sage, oregano, thyme, dill, basil, mint. A little bit of everything back there. She's got some lemon balm, it looks like, even. And then these are our beefsteak tomatoes. And like I was telling you, if you can see some of the purple on the leaves and stuff here, and it got down into the stalk a little bit, which we think, we're told by YouTube, the internet, that it was a potassium deficiency in the plants.
Dr. Google did not have
Yeah.
a clear answer.
And then all of our aromas are down here, which we've got somewheres around 100 and some odd Roma tomato plants down here. So, and then Jessica decided to start like 96 pots of flowers.
Yeah, they have to be
Yesterday,
covered still. I
so-
didn't get their little cover on them. I ran out of time and forgot. You have a lot of people saying hello, and I've got your comments here. So,
So you're gonna have to stay probably. So.
wrote me. Little Homestead by the Beach, Momming with Charity, Apple Tree Urban Homestead, Grimm's Family Farm, The Organized Pineapple, MB Heritage Farms, Life with Belinda and Chuck, Welcome Everybody, Lazy Days Ahead. And so obviously we're definitely new at this, and I do not know how to comment links to all y'all's pages, but I promise by next time we'll do this. We tried to do the StreamYard setup,
Yeah.
but you couldn't go live on a previously set up, at least I couldn't figure out, previously set up YouTube event. It was not working.
It had to be
so
set
well.
up through StreamYard, I guess. We couldn't somehow get them to connect, but it's doing a lot better than we've done before. I've got actually 13 people it shows in here this morning, which
And
is
your
great.
face is on there, not just your voice.
Yeah.
You're not frozen.
Yeah, so Chuck, I would have answered your call. We tried to get a hold of you to see if you could help us walk through the whole StreamYard thing, but
You left us hanging. We had an IT question.
couldn't get a hold of you. So, and then I saw you tried to call back,
Yes,
but
that's
we'd already
for
set up the new
StreamYard.
links and stuff. So
I don't even know how to set up a moderator, Charity.
I'm gonna say if we knew how, we would do it, because I would definitely tag a few of you and give you the wrench to be able to tag some links and
We'll
stuff.
get all of those technical difficulties worked out. Glenn was just excited to get a live chat set up.
Morning, Jesse and Lisa. Lazy days ahead. If you guys haven't subscribed to their channel, go check them out. Went and watched them the other day, and they were driving through Oregon, which looked beautiful. I would love to go to Oregon sometime. It's just a heck of a drive for us from here in Missouri. So
We were supposed to do a grow
Chuck
room
says so
update.
sorry he was feeding the chickens.
Yeah.
Chuck, the chickens can wait. No, I understand. So. The Organized Pineapple says, love that greenhouse. We are loving the greenhouse too so far. We are new to it, so we're kind of still trying to figure it all out, how to use it, how to heat it, to vent it and everything to make it work. But
It's a learning curve.
it's doing really well. The plants are thriving out here currently from when we brought them out from inside the grow room, so it worked out really well, I think. Our zucchinis and stuff kind of started yellowing a little bit on the leaves, and I don't know if it was just the fact that we had them in there under artificial light the whole time, but we figured we'd bring them outside, and we know who makes things grow, so we brought them out here to let the Lord shine a little sun on them and perk them up a little bit, and they're doing really well. So we are heating it with a heater, though, a little infrared heater, space heater, and it's working pretty good. We're going to get a pretty good test, I think, come Friday night into Saturday morning, though. It's supposed to drop down to 25 degrees. So I'm sorry if I'm falling behind in the comments and stuff,
I'm
guys.
watching them.
Jessica's trying to keep up with them a little bit.
Hey, so you can tell everybody about my loofah plants that I started.
Yeah, you can come tell everybody about your loofah plants you started. You've been researching them and looking up how to grow loofah plants. I think she's wanting to put them in her goat soap. It's supposed to be like some kind of scrub. I'm not sure about all that stuff. I'm more into the garden vegetables and stuff. Jessica's more so the flowers and
I like
the
anything
funny
that's green and gross.
loofah plants and stuff.
So I just found out about this. It's a loofah gourd, and I have 16 planted here. So hopefully they'll all sprout. That would be great. I've never done a loofah gourd. I didn't even know that such a thing existed. And
from the deal, and I'll watch comments for a minute.
so you plant this little plant, and the vine grows up to like 30 foot long, and it likes to be on a trellis, and then it will sprout flowers, of course, and a gourd that if you harvest early on, it can be eaten like an okra or something like that. But if you leave it, you can remove the skin and let it dry out into a loofah, which I think is really awesome.
I don't know if it's Jesse or Lisa. I think it's probably Lisa. But says, what? A new loofah lady in the community.
Yeah.
Put me on your list for the first one you sell. So
Well, I have 16 plants here. If they'll
MD
sprout,
Heritage in here this morning.
that would be really cool. But I want to slice them and put them in my goat soap, or just have them as whole loofahs. But they'll grow into I think it's like 12 to 16 inches, and each plant will get somewhere between, I think one lady said 12 on hers, but she was up north. But we have a longer growing season if I didn't start them too late, because it's probably too late. But I was just excited to try. But they can get up to like 30 loofahs on one. So awesome. I thought those things came from the C or something like a sponge would have. I was excited.
Shows what we know about loofah plants.
Well, I didn't even know that existed. I just saw it on one of those pages that we're involved in. I don't know if it was a homestead or on YouTube or something, but somebody else had shared that they were planting loofahs. And what is that? I gotta check that out. It's pretty exciting.
Pineapple says sounds fun. Well, we'll see how fun it is. She's got all kinds of expectations and big ideas for them, and I don't even know where I'm going to plant them yet. So
anywhere you have a choice. I tried to talk him in. Our entire garden is fenced, so that's a lot of loofah gourds that could go around that. And he said I'm not allowed to grow anything on the garden fence, which I think is just a terrible use of space. If anybody agrees, you're welcome to in the comments let Glenn know that the garden fence would be a great spot.
yeah, the garden fence is to stay clean. I don't want a bunch of vines and stuff growing up in it. She'd have that thing overrun with vines and everything else. She'd have her cucumbers growing up it and everything.
Hey, I even saw somebody said that they planted it at the base of an old dead tree, so it grew up that, which we've got plenty of those. I think we had kind of talked a little bit about this on one of our other videos, and I believe Belinda and Chuck said that they have the lemon balm. I am really excited about that. I don't know, just because it said lemon and balm, it sounded great. And it's doing really good, but I don't even know what to use this for.
It's back there.
That's my basil.
Right, there's one on the front row right there in front of you. There it is.
This is one of two, but look, it's doing really good. Who plants this? Do y'all know like some great uses for it?
Somebody said you can make a tea,
I
like
saw
a
the
lemon
tea.
balm tea out of it. So,
But I wonder, does it like smell like most herbs have a very good smell. I just
Little
wonder,
Homestead by the Beach says
Smells
a
like
garden fence is made to be green of plants and cannot see it.
see, now I'm in full agreement with that. That is great. The more green and just green
I'm
where
with
it's supposed to
Charity.
be.
I like a clean fence. I'm with you, Charity.
I thought we were friends. Man.
Well, you got to be friends. You got to get on there a little bit more and comment and talk with them a little bit so they get to know you. So
You beat me to the punch every time.
I had to drag her in here this morning. She
Hey,
just
smell
kind of
that.
got
That does smell like lemon. Maybe I could
Yeah, it
scent my
does.
soaps with that.
she kind of got drug in here this morning. So
Yeah, I'm not so sure about the live thing. It kind of puts me
Danny
on the
Days
spot.
Homestead. Thank you for joining us this morning. I'll have to go over and check their channel out. I don't think I've seen theirs yet. So thank you for coming in this morning and listening to us ramble about our greenhouse and our loofah plants and herbs and stuff.
Yeah, what's everybody else starting? I think next time it would be really fun to have somebody, if we schedule this through the StreamYard, we can add people to it. I like that idea.
And say bring some other people in on the
Yeah,
chat.
just
and
let people join in.
see what all your starts are looking like, and if you start your own plants. This is only the second time we've done it, and the first time it done really well, but it was a whole nother setup. We were in a rental house before we'd actually bought this place, and it had a bunch of natural light coming in where we had them at. We looked like we were growing drugs and pot and everything, it looked like, because there was just grow lights everywhere in the windows and shelves full of plants, but they did really well. Like I said, this time though, it was different because where we grow them inside the shop, where we start them all in the grow room, there's zero natural light. So everything was under grow lights, and it sprouted super quick, done really well. But then they started looking like they were turning purple and kind of got a deficiency in them. So I think that's where the greenhouse is going to come in handy.
It's definitely a learning curve though. And we have
Onions.
they're
started
planting
sprouting.
onions.
Okay. And if you guys are new to the channel, I know a few of you by name and stuff, but if you guys will throw your names in the comments and just a general kind of where you're from, that'd be great. We can kind of go back and write these things down and get to know you guys a little bit better, rather than calling everybody by your homestead page or farm page or whichever page it is. It'd be nice to actually know some names to go with some people. So Graham's Family Farm from New Brunswick, Canada.
Wow.
Is it pretty cold up there in Canada right now? Or are you guys actually being able to start
Apple Tree
any plants?
Homestead is in Australia. Wow.
All over the world.
Georgia.
Mississippi is momming with Charity. We know where you're from, Chuck.
Georgia. There's another Georgia.
So you guys ought to be putting some stuff in the ground down there. You guys probably got some warmer temps than we've got here. Our mornings and stuff lately, it's been kind of in the 40s, and
Lots of snow.
but we do have some colder days still, so we're being careful putting stuff in the ground yet. Our fruit trees, you can't see them through the greenhouse, but we've got 5 fruit trees out in the yard that are big, full, blooming with flowers, and we had one freeze a few days ago, probably close to a week ago, where it got down to 28 degrees and they were bloomed out. Our big plum tree, which last year, you guys probably wouldn't know it, but I think it was all before our channel started, but last year we bought this place and it had froze then when the tree was all bloomed out, and we didn't get a single fruit off of any of our trees last year. We've got 2 plum trees, 2 apple trees, and 1 nectarine tree out there currently. And they're all beautiful now, blooming with flowers, and we've got 25 degrees coming Friday night into Saturday morning. So if y'all know any way to be able to keep them from freezing and losing their buds and everything and killing them, let us know, because we'd sure like to know. They're too big to cover with anything. So I was trying to Google if there was some kind of a spray or an all-natural spray, not a chemical spray. We don't like using the chemicals and stuff, but
If we don't have to.
It'd just be nice if there was some kind of like a all-natural antifreeze. Maybe RV antifreeze works, because you put that in your RV and you can run that stuff out and drink it. I don't know.
No.
But,
That would be awful.
well, it won't kill you, because obviously you can put it in your RV lines and stuff and you just flush it out, so it's got to be somewhat safe for consumption, but
Well, and the neat thing about our fruit trees, if you haven't seen, I want to say that we talked about this in our very first video, the Getting to Know Us, that we talked kind of about a little snapshot of our story. But we had purchased a property that we had started to build what we thought of as our forever home. And then we realized that that was our plan and not God's plan, and we sold it. Everything fell right into place. But the point here is, I had 5 fruit trees planted there that Glenn and the boys had got me for Mother's Day, and they were new. And so I said, well, don't you think we can dig those up and take them, not leave them as part of the sale? And he told me, no, we're not digging the trees up and taking them.
we left them.
And I was a little bummed, because they were at that point, still new, but 5 fruit trees I was leaving behind. So we come out and look at this property, and not only does it have fruit trees, but it has 5 fruit trees that were already established. And so it was just it was like God saying, I'm not gonna leave you hanging, like this is where you're supposed to be. And obviously we didn't get anything off of them last year, but we had a fantastic neighbor who has this huge pear tree, and she said, just pick as much as you want, we don't eat pears. Oh my gosh, so I didn't pick enough. This year I may need to rent a cherry picker to get all of them, send my kids up to the top.
Hopefully the plum tree produces really well, but it's going to be another one of those ones where we're going to have to get the tractor out just to get up to the top of the tree, because it's big. It's probably 25 foot tall.
We have a 12-year-old who
Likes
thinks
to
that
climb
he's
trees.
Tarzan and can climb to the top of
Hunter
trees.
loves climbing trees.
So he'll take that.
If we've missed any of you guys as you come in, I've seen Cody there with Hog Deer showed up. Good morning. Thanks for stopping in. If we missed you, I'm sorry. The chats are kind of going pretty quick, so it's hard for me to follow along the way we've got this set up this morning.
The organized pineapple says you should have taken the fruit trees. My parents left fruit trees at their house, and the people who moved in cut them down and put a concrete slab in. That's awful. I would have had to have at least called a tree company and had them move it or something. Fruit trees, I was thinking that the other day as I was driving home with my 2 fruit trees. We have a peach tree and a pear tree that I bought at Home Depot yesterday. They were $35. I just couldn't pass it up. But I was thinking, you know, when you build a new home, I'm not sure about everywhere, but at least in our area, a lot of the towns or cities will have a requirement that you put in 2 trees, 2 like shade trees.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought, you know, if they would change that requirement to like 1 shade tree, 1 fruit tree, you know how many people would have fruit trees? We would be just overrun with fruit trees. It would be so neat.
The good thing
That's
is the property we sold with the
Awesomeness.
fruit trees on it, the people that bought it, we actually know them. I went to school with both of them, so if they were to go and try and cut them down or something, I think they would probably give us a holler and say, hey, are you interested in taking these things?
I would dig them up and put in new dirt for them. Happily.
It took some time to plant them too, because the first we actually planted them in one spot that ended up being horse pasture. So we dug them back up and moved them to another spot of the property that wasn't pasture, but where we planted them at the first time, it took chisels and hammers and picks because it was about 8 inches down. It was solid rock, so there was a
lot of
chore.
blood, sweat, and tears in that. And then when we moved them, my stepdad actually, thankfully, came out to help me. But I had in my mind that I was going to build these fences around them because there's a lot of deer and stuff out there. And I'm not a fence builder. It was a rough task. And he said he'd come help me. I said, oh, I've got it. Don't worry. And thank God he showed up because I could not do it by myself. It was a mess.
So a bunch of people saying they've got some fruit trees, apple tree urban homestead.
Wild apple trees around, and the apples are delicious. There's a wild pear tree back at the back of it's not our property, but it's right where the neighbor's property starts, and I don't think it ever produced last year
Chuck
either.
says let Riley do the commenting, Charity.
You're gonna get in trouble.
Our cabin in the woods. Good morning.
Cabin in the woods. Oh, I want to go check that out.
I want to check the cabin out. We've already checked out the channel and subscribed to that, but I want to check out the cabin.
Yeah,
So,
maybe there's a video of a cabin.
Like a
tour.
VRBO or something like that would be nice.
Man, you're getting really invasive. I just wanted a photo, and you're like wanting to invite yourself. That's kind of weird. 2 huge pecan trees. Welcome to come dig them up. Huge pecan trees. You'd probably need some huge machinery for that.
The pecans are nice.
I like the
I'm
pecans,
surprised
though.
you want to get rid of them. The deer and stuff. At least in Missouri, the deer love the pecans.
2
So
orange trees.
I think Cody. I think if I'm wrong, correct me. But I think aren't you down in South Texas area?
Two orange trees. If I could grow an orange tree in my greenhouse, I would do it.
Well, there was not an orange tree, but I'm not
In
sure if
town,
you guys
West Texas.
follow Living Traditions Homestead. They're another homestead here in Missouri, down around Ava, Missouri. But they're from Arizona, and he started a citrus tree this year in their greenhouse, and it's actually doing really well. It's putting on fruit and stuff. So I don't know that I couldn't grow like an orange tree or a citrus tree, but it would have to be in my greenhouse all the time.
All the time too,
and
probably.
heated. So cost-wise, I probably wouldn't do it because I don't want to run the heater in here all the time. So, and the orange trees, I think, get a little too big for the greenhouse. The citrus trees, I think, are a lot smaller.
I bet you could grow like a small. They have like lemon shrubs or something like that. I'm gonna have to look into that because this greenhouse has a lot of potential. It came with 1 row, 1 shelf, but every greenhouse I've ever seen has 2 shelves. So
I'll see if I can take you guys
I can
around.
put a second shelf up. Obviously, there would be some dark areas, but
So it came with these 2 shelves here that go the whole length, which our greenhouse is 10 feet wide by 14 foot long. So we've got 28 foot of shelving in here. But I think I can put one back here in the back between the shelves at the base of that window, which will give us a little bit more room. We've got this table in here to work on, which is nice, but I would like to have a little bit more
I would like
shelf
a longer
space.
table. This table's really nice because it's narrow, so it gives you plenty of room to work around. But as you can see, my table yesterday got full.
So we could use another shelf back here, I think, for
Like,
her flowers.
just
that she
build
thinks
a
she has
bigger
to
one.
have.
Chuck says, just build a bigger greenhouse, like 100 foot by 100 foot. That should do it. You could also hang a few pots on those beams. Well, check this out, because
They've got a pot hanger in
they
here.
have. Wow, that's really close to my face. Sorry.
Up here
Right
they
there.
Put a piece of pipe.
Like
It's
a little PVC pipe or
plastic
something?
pipe or PVC that they've anchored in up here to do some hanging pots on, and it's not quite 14 feet long, but it's 10. So I think the rafters are every 24 inches, I think. So I think that's probably 10 foot. So she could do some hanging baskets in here, which she may put some of these in hanging baskets when they come up.
Now, one thing that nobody has noticed is missing from my greenhouse.
What's missing from your greenhouse?
An old
Oh,
farmhouse
sheesh.
chandelier right there.
We don't need no chandelier.
And then a wrought iron table and 2 chairs right there. That's just, every greenhouse has to have it. In fact, hold on.
She said, Rim's Family Farm says cherry tomatoes or tiny Tims would do great on those.
Ooh, that's a good idea. I just want like as much green in here as possible. Green that I can eat, green that I can share, that will bless my family and bless others. I'm down with all of it.
Lois
Flowers.
Hills Homestead.
Oh, hey.
I must have missed you guys coming in. Thank you for coming and joining us this morning.
Chuck, you'll appreciate this. So, I did a video as they were delivering this greenhouse. It's such a neat process, and how excited I was about what I was going to put around the greenhouse. So I bought yesterday, while I was at Home Depot, I bought a purple lilac bush, and I bought a white lilac bush, and then I already had a couple from Sam's Club, but they don't seem as far along as these. So depending on if they can get this much sun, might go around the greenhouse. But a lot of these flowers that I planted were perennials that can take sun, and I bought a whole bunch of seeds of annuals that can take sun. So I figured, like, if I can make the outside kind of like a, I don't know what they call that, like a, I don't know, a cottage style, I don't know what they do, but where they have like all the flowers, and it's kind of just an overgrown, unorganized mess of flowers. And I'm not overgrown or unorganized. I kind of like things nice and neat, but I think that would be fun with a bunch of flowers.
She did dig up a lilac bush yesterday.
No,
it
was a honeysuckle.
Or honeysuckle, sorry, not lilac. Honeysuckle that was over here on the other side of our property. She thought, oh, that looks nice. So her little handy dandy app on her phone, you can go over and it'll tell you, it'll take pictures basically of what the plant is, and it'll tell you what that plant is. So she did that and told her it was a honeysuckle. So she dug it up and planted it right beside the greenhouse out here. So
technically, Hunter dug it up for me.
On the west side of the greenhouse, to be exact, which is where most of our sun's going to come in. So hopefully it doesn't get too big and block everything. If not, if it does, we're going to have to dig it up and relocate it again. So
one of the other really fun things that we've been doing is we got to thinking if there was ever a time where we didn't have access to the internet, or things were taken off the internet that we needed access to, or we've also noticed that a lot of YouTube videos, people will share what they're doing, which is exactly what we're doing. We'll never say this is the way to do it, the only way to do it. Everything that we're doing could be completely the wrong way, but we're just sharing how we're doing it and letting you know if it works or what we like, what we don't. But I've found that some people that I've followed in the past have done things in a way that I shouldn't do them, just because they're maybe not as safe methods, canning particularly. Thank you, Mennonite Farmhouse, for pointing all of that out. Now
she's
I know.
been watching a lot of Leanne's videos and stuff now.
Kind of made me like ready to toss all my canned goods, but they're good. We're fine. We did fine.
So we've been eating them, and they did all right. So
with all of that information, I started ordering books because I don't have any books. And so I found this website, and I'm sure there's plenty of them, but I found this website that's called thriftbooks.com. We got some really fun books, more than this, but we decided to bring 4 out to show you.
So
I wanted
like 20, I think.
I wanted like old books that would tell you how to do stuff like the way that our grandparents and great-grandparents, like a back to basics, old school, before all the science got involved. I know that there's a lot of great things that we do today that maybe helps production, but I just wanted to be able to see what they did as old as I possibly could. So some of these books aren't that old, but they're older than like current internet time. So this is, I think one's not very old. Actually, this one's 1992, but still, it's not a brand
It's
new.
30 years old.
That's not old.
Jessica
That's not
turned
old.
32 today, so.
Except he's
and
brainwashed our children
they think she's 37.
to telling them I'm 37. It's terrible. Anyways, back to these awesome books. So this book we got is a Greenhouse Gardener's Companion. It's phenomenal. It's got tons of stuff in here, all about different plants you can grow, how to set up your greenhouse, what it needs, how to fix greenhouse problems like too much moisture, not enough moisture, too much heat, not enough heat, all of that fun stuff.
Danny Day's Homestead says happy birthday.
Thank you. It even talks in here about where to put your table and chairs in your greenhouse.
Oh, that's what I was going to say. Somebody up here, I can't remember who it was, somebody said
The hammock.
their grandpa had a hammock in the greenhouse in the seed starting area, and I thought that was funny. So we're not putting a hammock in here. It's not big enough.
The 100 by 100.
I tried to do pull-ups on these the other day, and they will not support me to even do a pull-up. So we can't hang a hammock in here.
And then I got this book, which I think is so cool. This is called The Healing Herbs, which, you know, I'm growing herbs, and there's so many more uses for herbs other than just to season your food with. So many things I don't know. And the first page I ended up opening this to was about dandelions. This little yellow flower that we all pay so much money and so much effort
pull them up
to
and
get rid of
them.
And there's so many like great vitamins. I think there was an immense amount of vitamins in their leaves. Who knew it? Maybe you knew it. I didn't know it. This whole lifestyle is much newer to me than probably many of you. You can keep a hold of that.
Looks like Spring Meadow Farm and Garden showed up this morning. Thank you. Good morning.
If you're a book person, this is another really cool book.
Oh, Miss Nancy's in here this morning.
Where? Oh, she is all the way from, according to Easton, the other side of the world.
8,000 miles away, Miss Nancy's in here this morning.
You get a special shout out. Miss Nancy. So this book is really awesome. This is called The Self-Sufficient Gardener. This one is from 1980, so a little bit older, but this was all these were used books. But what I thought was really cool about this one, I found a thing, it talks about how to get your kids involved in gardening, like how to make it exciting for them. And one of the things I saw in there was to make a pole bean teepee, which I thought, well, that's kind of neat. Then, of course, a few days later on Facebook, one of those homesteading pages or garden pages, somebody was talking about how they used to do a pole bean teepee. So you get, if you don't know, maybe you all know this, this is so new to me. You get like the bamboo sticks, form a teepee out of them, and then you plant your pole beans at the base of it. So they're climbing plants, so they'll climb up, and eventually the whole teepee is covered in something fun for your kids to go hang out in, and it's also a produce. So it's really neat. Produces a crop. Somebody had posted on there that their kids were just telling them that like 40 years ago when their parents did that for them, how much they enjoyed that. So all of the green beans I got were bush beans. So I guess I need to head back to Home Depot to buy some pole beans.
Everybody's telling Miss Nancy good morning. we love Miss Nancy, so.
We're hoping one day Miss Nancy will be here with us.
Let's say you probably don't know her, but she is Jessica's dad's girlfriend, and she lives over in the Philippines. So we're hoping Miss Nancy will make it over here sometime.
Our youngest talks about her Miss Nancy all the time. Well, why doesn't she just come here? That's a lot harder than that. So another new thing to everything is new, but everything we planted this year is an heirloom, so we can harvest our seeds. I don't know how to do that correctly. I mean, I've read some stuff.
So I've seen some things, but I want to make sure we're doing it right.
So we got this book. This is a newer book, but it's Seed to Seed. It's about seed saving and growing techniques for vegetable gardens. And it talks about each individual plant, how to save their seed, how to grow it, all these things. So just really neat stuff. If you're a book person, never have been much of a book person, these are some really cool books. And they weren't that expensive. They're on
Chuck says he started
thriftbooks.com.
doing heirloom seeds this year, so.
Oh, so we can learn together. You can share your triumphs with us and steer us in the right direction so we don't mess them up.
We've really enjoyed everything so far. It's been a fun learning experience, and just learning how to do it all. You know, like I said before, we never started our own seeds. We kind of had a couple small gardens before when we first got married and stuff when we lived in town, but once we kind of got on this homesteading journey that we've been on, it's been wonderful learning all these things, and it's a great community. For one, we've really enjoyed meeting all of you guys in here and getting to know people better and everything. So there's Dad.
So
Diddy showed up this morning. Tim Patterson.
There's a little boy in our life that instead of saying, he's little, so instead of saying dad or daddy to his dad, he would say Diddy, and we just all thought it was the cutest darn thing. So now Glenn has tagged my dad with Diddy, so everything's Diddy. We also recently did a video about our garden this year. Last year, as we were moving in, the people who owned this property were incredibly kind. Let us come in, remove fence that they weren't using anymore, put up fence, and put an entire garden in before we ever, we had a deposit down, like $5,000 or something. Like, that's nothing on a house, you know? And they let us come in and adjust their property in this way. And it was fantastic. The only trouble was we had, the weekend was our allotted time that we could get it in our schedule to come out here and not, really be overstepping and rude with them to, get in their space.
It didn't seem to bother them too much. I mean, they let us come down and take the kids out on the side by side down the trails and ride. Told us to bring them down, let them play in the creeks and stuff. It was more of a kind of a deal on the kids though, because we would get down here and try to get as much done as we could in the day that we had, or the day and a half that we'd had. So it was like we tried to get here as early as we could, and then we were here all day. So it was a little bit on the kids in the beginning, but
the garden soil, because of that, just wasn't what it could be. It was kind of rushed just because we had this amount of time to do this amount of stuff in. And this year we've gotten soil amendments in there from the rabbits and potash in there, and then we have compost piles go in that will be for next year.
We used to have horses. We just got rid of the horses. Kind of a touchy subject with Mama here, but we got rid of the horses just knowing that they weren't producing anything for us. So it was more of just a feed bill and everything. And horses are expensive. If you've never owned horses, they can be pretty expensive. So we figured they were probably costing us in the winter time when there was no grass in the pasture. They were probably costing us $400 or $500 a month between feed and hay and the vet and the farrier and stuff like that. So it got pretty expensive, so we did get rid of the horses. But before that, they did give us a lot of horse manure and stuff, which is in our compost pile. And also we put a bunch in our garden and stuff this past winter, and then amended all that. But we had, if you saw our garden last year, it was full of sawdust that we got from a sawmill close by, and we were trying to kind of do somewhat like the Back to Eden gardening and put the sawdust down to help keep the weeds and stuff down.
Now they say Back to Eden says wood chips.
They say wood chips and let them compost.
We did our own. We did the sawdust.
Yeah, we just did the sawdust to mainly try and help keep the weeds down and stuff, and it helped a lot. We didn't have to weed a whole lot, but every time it would rain, we would end up with a little bit of water kind of running through the garden. So we've done some terracing out here and everything to keep the creek in its banks.
So we had a river.
We had a river in our garden. The first right after we planted our plants and stuff, it was probably within 2 weeks of moving in, and we had an 8-inch rain that the creeks came out of the banks. We had a foot of water flowing through our garden. You could barely see the tops of our plants.
I have videos of that somewhere. One of our videos, I attached the video of it. But we did the sawdust and it worked really well. I I went out there and like truly weeded maybe 3 times. Otherwise, it was just a few plucks here
And
or there.
it was easy. Like, you just barely had to pull them and they'd come up.
It kept in the moisture. So we got these cool things, but when Glenn showed up with them, I thought he was out of his mind. What is called a stirrup hoe.
Stirrup hoe.
So it looks like stirrups
On a saddle for your
on a
horse
stick,
saddle.
and you're supposed to essentially be able to run it through the dirt. It goes under the weeds so that you're not plucking it from the top, you're actually getting the roots. And I said, you're crazy. That's like one of those great infomercials. It's only gonna work when the soil is right, because if the soil's too wet, it's gonna be muddy, it's not gonna work. If it's too dry, it's gonna be dry as a bone, and you're gonna spend more time trying to get that silly thing under it. But with the sawdust, it actually kept the soil with the right amount of moisture. It worked fantastic.
Yeah, it worked really well, and it was super easy just to run that stirrup hoe in there, and it basically was kind of sharp on both sides of it, so it would just run right under the soil back and forth, and it would just cut the weeds and stuff off right at the top, and it basically pluck them almost, because you go right under the root system of them, and it just kind of lays them up on top of the deal, and then they just die. So it worked really well. But this year, if you guys have seen our other video, which we just posted, I think,
yeah, it's the most recent.
we covered our garden this year in a garden fabric. It's like a woven garden fabric. So we've seen that on a couple other channels, and it looked like they had great success with it, almost weed free. I think the only places where the weeds actually come up is where you burn the hole in the fabric to plant your plants. So they had a couple of weeds come up right there around those, and those are just real easy to pluck them, and just made it super nice and everything. So we're gonna try that this year.
Charity, you'll appreciate this. So the weed fabric has lines on it. So then you can keep your nice clean lines for when you put all your little plants in. They'll stay in a nice little line if you burn your holes right on the line. I'm excited about that.
Spring Meadow Farm and Garden, thank you for coming this morning. I understand you had to peel out there, but thank you for stopping in and joining us.
Today's kind of our day home. So we own a roofing company as well, but once we moved out to the country rather than being right in the city, we were still on the outskirts, but closer anyhow. We tried to start planning when we can. Obviously, if we have a hailstorm, that's all different. But we tried to start planning where Glenn goes to the city a few days a week rather than every day a week, especially with the cost of gas, or in your case, fuel right now.
Yeah, the diesel, I don't know how it is where you all are at, but diesel up here is about $4.69 a gallon, depending on where you're at.
How many miles are you typically driving, like to Overland Park?
For me, it's probably close to 50 miles one way to the city, to where we generally work at a lot. So 100 miles just there and back, and that's not counting any driving around the city that I do. So if I fill my tank up, which right now is costing about $160, $150, $160 to fill it up, I could drive around for about 2.5 days on that if I were going to the city every day. So we definitely try to put things in a couple of days, few days, where I'll be in the city and I'm busy and it's all day, but I'm able to be home more and help out with things around here too. So that's super nice.
So today's an at-home day, and
yeah.
We do a thing at our house for birthdays. Everything revolves around food, I guess. Here we are in our food house, the greenhouse. At our house, if it's your birthday, you get to choose. But the kids, they get to choose breakfast and dinner. For us, we'll just pick a dinner. And
Gray Barn Farm.
So he's gonna smoke ribs today.
Do you plan to sell plants this year? Yes.
Yes, all of these are not going to my garden.
We plan to put about probably 40 or so of the Roma plants, Lord willing, this happens. 40 of the Roma plants and probably 20 or so of the beefsteak tomatoes. And then we'll probably put a half a dozen or so of the zucchinis and the cucumbers. A few of the okras. The okras, we planted 5 of them last year, and they did really, really well. They took off like crazy. We had okra everywhere. We were giving it away.
You have to tell your okra story. So Glenn had never had okra, and I grew up on fried okra, but I hadn't had it since I was a kid. And so as we're buying seeds, anybody who buys seeds, I think, can testify that you get a little seed happy. And so I was like, oh, okra, it's been a minute since I've had that. Let's try it out. And I buy one. And out of all the plants, it's the one that's doing the best for the longest time. And Glenn's like, I don't even think I like okra. Why are we growing okra? So we put a few plants out there, and of course here they come, growing, doing good. And I said, well, let's fry some okra and try it. And then he couldn't get enough of it. So the okra did good. Sorry to cut you off.
No, Bare Bones Living says that selling plant starts has been so profitable for them.
At what point are you selling your plant starts though? Because to me, last year when we started giving them out to family and stuff, they were
a foot tall.
They're bigger than you could get at Home Depot.
Yeah, they were probably 12 to 14 inches. I mean, they were big.
Would you sell them at this little? To me, this is I would never buy that because except for now I would. Because
it's still pretty fragile, I think,
where
at that stage. So
not everybody's set up to keep that growing though. Bare Bones Living's never eaten okra. Okay, so if you grow okra, first trick is you have to harvest it at the right time, because if you let it go too long, it gets rock hard.
They get what they call woody.
Yeah, it's throw it in the trash. It's terrible.
They don't taste good. So.
But if you slice them, and then you can flour them. I rolled them in cornmeal and seasoning, and then put them in our cast iron with probably vegetable oil. Usually I do coconut oil or olive oil, but I think I did do
okra and gumbo, Chuck says.
Ooh.
And stewed tomatoes also recently.
How about some of that Mater gravy?
Mater gravy on them, Chuck.
If you have not seen Life with Chuck and Belinda's page, which all of you probably have come from them, but if you don't know who they are, check out their page if you need a good laugh, because he is so laid back and humorous. And
super nice. I mean, before we did this live, and I announced it on, I think I was on another live chat and said I was going to do one. Chuck actually called me after we got off of that, and he called me and offered me one of his, because he does a live every Tuesday morning, and he offered me one of his Tuesdays to go every other Tuesday, and I couldn't do it. I really appreciated it. It was super thoughtful, but I couldn't do it because selfishly I want to watch Chuck. So I enjoy Chuck's lives, and so does Jessica. So we appreciate it, but we decided we would try to do it on our own on Wednesday mornings at 9, and so far I'm super happy. Y'all have been so supportive and jumping in here and commenting. It makes it go a lot easier, and when I'm not just sitting there looking at myself and talking to myself, it feels like so.
But his Mater gravy video, I had my earbuds in. We were both in our office area. Our house has a loft, and in the loft is where we have our office. So he's sitting at his desk, I'm sitting at mine, and I'll have my earbud in while I'm working. And I just couldn't help but laugh. I can smirk pretty darn easy, but to really make me laugh, it has to be pretty darn funny.
I didn't know what she was laughing. I didn't know what she was watching. I turned around, she's over there giggling, and I'm like, what are you watching? And she was watching Chuck's Mater gravy videos, so.
Yeah, I was dying. It was so funny. And it's just a couple minute video, but it is well worth a good laugh he's just so funny. We got way off topic. We also have bell peppers. So tell me if you've ever done this. The bell peppers I bought last year, I think we just bought green bell pepper plants.
And we didn't start them, and we weren't planning on doing them, but whenever I had the hopes of a big, huge garden last year when we first moved down here, and she wanted to kind of ease into the gardening and canning. So we didn't plant a whole lot of things last year that I would have liked to. So when I would go to the store or something, I was like, oh, there's a bell pepper plant, and there's a hot pepper plant, and there's this. And we didn't have those things. So I come home one day with a couple bell peppers, a hot pepper, like a habanero pepper, I think it was.
We had started jalapenos, but not.
I brought a watermelon plant home. I brought a cantaloupe home, and put all those in the garden. And none of them did very well last year, but we're hoping this year with the amendments and stuff like that they do really well.
But this bell pepper, I bought it as a seed, and maybe I'm just stupid. I don't know exactly what this means. It was a rainbow bell pepper. So it shows on there red, yellow, orange, green bell peppers. So does that mean that each plant is going to be it's a luck of the draw, what kind of pepper is going to go on each plant? Am I going to have an all green plant and an all red? Because that's typical. Or is it going to have one plant that will produce a red bell pepper and it'll produce a green bell pepper and stuff like that? I don't know what to expect, but it's kind of excited. Bell peppers.
Bell
That's
peppers.
Cute. But then we did jalapenos as well. So.
But anyways, back to the question. Yes, we are going to sell some. We're not sure how many yet. Like I said, we've got over 100 Romas, and I think we're only keeping about 40 of them. So we probably will sell some of them. I'm not sure what price we'll sell them at yet, but I think we're probably going to be around that $3 to $4 price range, just because we don't need that many tomato plants. And the Roma plants that we did this year, they are a San Marzano, which is supposed to be a better paste tomato plant, because we're going to try and make our own sauces and stuff this year too. So tomato sauce. So Glenn watches all these YouTube. Before we were able to move out here, like we had bought the house, but before we could move, there was 3 months time period, and it was probably the coldest winter that our area has seen in years. Like I said, we own a roofing business, and it was so darn cold that people were calling and saying, "Hey, we've got icicles in our attic. What do we do?" And we're like, "Well, it's because we're at sub-zero for multiple days in a row," and I think it was like a couple of weeks. Anyhow, so we're stuck inside. It's miserable cold. At that point, we don't live here, so we don't have animals and all that kind of stuff other than the horses, and lots of YouTube time for him. And he's watching all these different YouTubers, and he's got this dream that I'm going to become like Laura Ingalls Wilder and be able to do all this stuff. And I was panicking. She's getting there.
Well, now I love it, but I hadn't lived quite that lifestyle before, and so I was worried, what if I hate canning? What if every garden we've ever had, I hated it. Like, we loved it when we started it. By the end, well, one, it would get ridiculously overgrown with weeds, and at that point in our life, I was always, pregnant, and so I'm trying to weed a garden with a big pregnant belly on a 5-gallon bucket, and I was just like, by the end of the season, I hate a garden. I'm done with it. So I was really nervous that I wasn't going to like this, and we're going to have this ridiculously huge garden, and he's going to think I'm going to just do all of this at once. I was kind of wanting to put my toe in before I jumped in both feet, but we still ended up kind of jumping in both feet. Invite me for the pig butchering. Oh
Pig butchering.
Gosh.
I tried to get Jessica to do pigs out here, but she's kind of a little leery of the smell of the hogs and stuff. I've got some great places for hogs though. So
if you've seen any of our YouTube videos, I tend to say more than I would like, well, that's just really cute.
Rim's Family Farm
I don't
says,
think pigs are too
how
cute.
old are your kids? We have 3 boys. Our youngest, Easton, is 6. He'll be 7 in October. And
So
then
he's 6
Wyatt
and a half. That
is
would be
our
important.
middle boy, and he is 9. He'll be 10 here in about 3 weeks.
Yes.
And then Hunter, our oldest, is 12, and he'll be 13 in August. So
What did I miss about this pig thing? Who's doing pigs? Pig butchering. If you're talking about us, we don't have pigs. But the boys
somebody
want
must
pigs.
have said something.
I
that we
missed it. It went
missed
too quick.
about having pigs and doing a pig butchering. But I would like to learn how to do it myself and be able to do that and raise our own pork and butcher it. Obviously, I can butcher
Bare bones
several
and
other
slippers.
animals and stuff.
Oh,
but,
Laura Wilder.
Oh,
The pigs are probably at some point going to come. The boys want pigs. The boys also want a cow or 2.
and a fainting goat. My oldest wants a fainting goat just so
And mallard
he
ducks.
can scare it and watch it fall over and then get up and then do it again. But eventually, I think it'll get old for him where he doesn't want to see it so much anymore. And then we've got a goat running around here that we don't need. So
Once he learns to milk our current goats, maybe we'll consider a fainting. I'm not getting a fainting goat. We have plenty of goats.
Riley just said, Mom, you put those cookies in the oven so well.
Don't smell. So you have pigs and they don't smell. Dirt raised. Okay. Well, it's worth considering.
It will probably come. I know we're going to probably do spring calves and raise beef and stuff since
Next
we've got
year.
rid of the horses next year. We have a half a beef right now, probably close to 3/4 of a beef since we got your dad living here now too with us. So
Homestead, where you are, just joined. Good morning. That's one that I don't. Have you seen their page?
Okay. I've subscribed to them, and
is on YouTube.
I get on there more than Jessica does. She's doing a lot of the mom stuff and taking care of the boys, and she stays pretty busy. So I get to drive around all day up in the city a lot of times, so I get a chance to watch a lot of stuff while I'm driving around and comment, and a lot of times I'll go back. Like if I'm watching a live and I'll go and subscribe to somebody, I will go back to that channel and watch some videos and comment and stuff, because I know that you do lose subscribers. YouTube will take them away. Like if you go and subscribe to a channel and you don't watch a video and comment on it, we always try to hit the notification bell too, so we get notified whenever there's other videos. But if you don't do those things and watch at least a video and comment, YouTube will remove you as a subscriber within a couple of days usually. I lost over 10 subscribers last night because people probably didn't go watch a video and comment. So it happens, so we try to make sure we do that on all of them.
Because we want to support others. That's one of the things that we've really, really enjoyed about just the homesteading community is obviously some people are going to be different. They all aren't going to follow us, but most everybody that we have been in personal contact with has been a build you up kind of community, not a competition. We're not trying to outdo each other, not trying to keep up with the Joneses. Everyone's just sharing what they know, what they've learned, what their mistakes were, and just trying to encourage everybody else. And so we really have liked that. The Bible says that love builds others up. Knowledge will puff up, but love builds each other up. And I'm like, this is such a great example of Christ's love that we've really enjoyed it.
Already to Danny Days Homestead.
But I want to encourage everybody that I can too and support them. And it's not a crazy amount of work to video stuff because we're only videoing for us what we're already doing. But it does take time and effort and a learning curve. And I want to be able to support other people that are doing what we're doing and encourage them to
definitely
share what they're doing because we like watching it.
And do it to channels that you guys really enjoy watching, because if you do it to some channels and you're not real sure if you enjoy their content and stuff, and then you're not going back and seeing any of the other videos, YouTube will eventually catch on and they'll end up removing you down the road too. So it's nice if you subscribe to the ones that you enjoy watching and everything. Danny Days Homestead, we did subscribe. Jessica must have done that earlier, so we will go back and watch some videos and stuff and comment on that. So
Chuck just got thrown under the bus. Is that how you're keeping all these subscribers, Chuck? Oh, that's good. Lazy days ahead with Jesse and Lisa says, or you can do like Chuck does. He gives you $1 for every video you watch of his. That's awesome. Another thing that Glenn will do. Was you going to talk about playing?
No, I was going to just mention real quick. We are doing a giveaway, and if you guys haven't seen the giveaway yet, we are giving away one of these nice gathered together homestead hats, and then there's some jams and stuff that we're giving away. A seed pack, which is like a salsa package, basically some tomatoes and peppers and stuff.
They're Baker Seed heirloom.
Baker's Creek. But if you haven't seen that, even if you're a subscriber already to the channel, go and check us out on Facebook and like that page, and then you guys and comment on one of our videos giveaway. Even if you're a subscriber already, go comment giveaway on that, and you guys will be entered for that too. So
yeah, we are doing that on April 15th. So
yeah, another 9 days and we'll be giving that away. So
I'll go through all of the giveaway comments and we'll draw one, and wherever you're at, we'll mail it to you. Now, if you're in Australia or Canada and I can't get it there, I don't know how that works.
Lower 48, guys. Lower 48. I apologize.
I don't know if I could even.
The shipping gets really expensive when you're shipping like that.
Yeah.
So it would have to be in the lower 48. So.
Yeah. But what Glenn will do too sometimes, and I'm not like trying to be prideful or brag, but we got this idea from somebody else, so it's not like our own. But he'll go through people's pages and just turn on their playlist and just let the stuff play through to help their watch hours. And
helps her watch it, but I do watch it too some, but I will let them play and play and play.
Right.
But I do enjoy watching a lot of the videos and
but when you
catching
can't
parts
sit and
pieces
watch
of it.
hours of videos at a time, but you want to help their channel, it's a channel he's already watched, but he'll let it play all the way through everything.
So Rim's Family Homestead says farm says usually they offer to pay the shipping if they win on something like that. So
Oh.
if that's the case and you guys are
Yeah.
somewheres like that, then and you're willing to pay that shipping, then great.
Well, we'll pay
we
the
could-
shipping to an extent because we already planned on
Yeah, I'd
shipping.
say we could share it and maybe split the shipping. So
All I know is sending things to like the Philippines via the mail is
it's really expensive.
so ridiculous expensive. It's just not
I
even
have to send
worth
you
it.
after a phone charger.
Yeah, we'll need to. We're right at about an hour, so I'm sure people who don't have their day at home today, like you, probably have work to get to. Was there anything else we were wanting to touch on?
Not that
Did the
I can
books.
I say we were just wanting to get in here and kind of visit in the greenhouse, show you kind of what we had going on, show you a few of the books that we have. Obviously, we have a lot of books and stuff. We bought some also about curing meats and all kinds of different things. So
Yeah, shipping to Australia would be astronomical. If you have any cool books,
Apple
that
Tree
you
Urban
found-
Homestead says they would love to buy a hat.
that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
shipping would be astronomical. If you have anything awesome, like I think our email is on there. If it's not, I'll get it on there. But it's gatheredtogetherhomestead at gmail.com. I love hearing what other people are doing. I think that's why I love the YouTube channel so much, is because if it's along the lines of what we're doing, that's how I found out about the loofah gourd. Everyone needs to grow a loofah gourd, I'm convinced. I would have never known. I love the books. I love all of this stuff that people are doing. And if you're doing something that is awesome, I would love to hear about it. Truly, I would. So
Yeah.
please email it to me.
And say we don't get all the notifications, even though we click on the bell to get everybody's notifications, and I click the all, so I'm wanting to get a notification anytime something's posted, but it still, I don't get them all. So every once in a while I'll get some of Chuck's, sometimes I'll get some of Jesse and Lisa's, and some of the others that I've been subscribed to for a little bit longer. But once I subscribe to like some of these newer channels, usually those are the ones that start popping up a little bit more frequent than the others, but I always go back and check the others too. So
Shoot us an email if we haven't hit your page yet. I promise you, our next live, we will have more of these fancy live techniques down. We'll have moderators, and we'll be tagging everyone's page, because anybody who joins our live, we want you to be represented as well, so that other people can find out about you. I'm sorry for this time. I promise we'll do better next
yeah,
time.
Jessica kind of stole this live too. She didn't want no part of it,
No,
so
I didn't.
I told her not to join in on my lives. Then she's gonna have to set up her own. But
You all have a great day. Thank you so much for starting your day with us.
yeah, definitely thank you guys, and we appreciate all the support. So y'all have a good day, and we'll see you next Wednesday morning at 9 again. So thanks again, guys.
Bye, guys.